Today and one more. That's all that's left for the 2023 Neshoba County Fair. We are glad to be with you. Political speeches are about to get started with Scott Bounds starting things off this morning at the Neshoba County Fair. Just had the national anthem from the Neshoba Central High School Band. They've been kind of warming the day up, and happy to be joined now by State Treasurer David McRae. Good to see you.
It's gone up at least 10 degrees since I parked out in the field over there and got to over here to talk with you over SuperTalk. But, yes, the band is warming it up. It's very nice, kind of interesting music.
It has warmed up a little. I got to tell you, at 6 o'clock this morning when we went on the air, it was spectacular. Sun hadn't come up yet, about 70 degrees. But I think it's going to warm up as it all goes through it.
Yeah, you got spoiled early in the morning. Now it's going to be up at least 20 more degrees. I mean, they said it's going to be hotter than it was yesterday.
Yeah. I think knocking on 99's door is what I've heard or read as we go throughout the day. State Treasurer's office. I think there are lots of people who are like, okay, he's the money guy, but maybe don't know exactly what that entails. Give us the kind of the elevator pitch overview of what the State Treasurer's office does.
Sure. In the most overall kind of broad context, I'm the bank of the state. I handle all our finances. I handle all our investments, all our bonds, all our unclaimed property money, and all our college savings accounts. And that's kind of the overall what we do. And the more private side of it is the financial side, the investment side, the accounting and the bond side, which is great for the state because it saves money and makes money for the state. Today I'll be announcing that we have made the state over $200 million in investment opportunities. We've saved over $700 million in refinancing. Those are things people normally don't see. What most people see with the Treasury is unclaimed property, which has returned $75 million to the people of Mississippi in 3 years. That's a record. Every single year I've set a record with unclaimed property money. And then also college savings. I mean, the average child goes to school with $32,000 worth of debt. And we are trying to alleviate that at the State Treasury so that people will have an easier time at college, save for college, and not have debt upon graduation. I mean, what we found through studies is that, children or young adults, when they graduate college, by having debt, $32,000 worth of debt, they are delaying major milestones, buying a home, having a family, or even staying here in Mississippi, which we all agree that we want people to stay here in Mississippi.
Yeah. The college savings program, to me, is one of the most forward-facing things of the State Treasurer's office. We've got 3 kids, and so, as they're growing, we're trying to figure out how do you pay for that. Our oldest daughter is part of that program. It's gone through some changes over time and probably had to from a solvency standpoint to make it work. But explain the way the college savings program for Mississippi works.
You're right. Before I got here, it did go through some changes, and there were concerns before I got here whether or not the impact program, the older impact program, would be sustainable.
It was a great deal, by the way.
Oh, it was a fantastic deal, and it still is a good deal under the new program. But under the old program, it was having problems. And when I got there I'm from the private sector. This is, my first political job that I've ever had. And Here we are. Hopefully I will get my second term. And through my investment knowledge, we have made the old program more than solvent. It is 92% funded at the moment. It was 60-something% funded when I got there. So anyone who's listening today who has one of the older programs and is concerned about that, I can tell you that it's in very, very good shape. But the way these prepaid college tuition plans work is it's like it says, it's a prepaid plan. Your child is born, you start one of these plans, and if it costs $1 today, in 18 years, it's going to cost $1. So you are locking in a rate for your child today, and I can guarantee you college is going to be more expensive next year or the next year. And then we have another plan, which is essentially a savings account. It's called Max. And a lot of people do that, and what it is it has a lot more freedom. It's kind of like a checking account. You put money in, and when your child's ready to use it for college, you can draw out for books, computers. In fact, I was talking to someone last night. They just bought a new Apple computer with their Max plan for their child to go to college at Ole Miss next year. I mean, it is very flexible.
So is the Max actually a 529, or is it just it functions as a 529?
No, it's part of the 529 program that was set up.
Gotcha. There are some parents that say, well, I'm not sure if my kid is going to stay and go to school in the state of Mississippi. And so maybe there's some hesitancy. And by the way, you can pay it monthly, you can pay it annually, you can contribute more at any point, you want to pay it all in one lump sum, you can do that as well, right? A lot of options in how you can use the program.
Yeah, there's a ton of options. And going to your first question, like, say my son either A, doesn't go to college, or B, goes to college out of state, and if your child doesn't go to college, there is a way to give the money back to the parents. I mean, it's not lost forever. This is just sitting there waiting to be used if you want to use it. If your child goes out of state, it can still be used. There's just a formula that has to be done regarding the tuition in out of state, in state, and on the website treasury.ms.gov, we have a long, detailed explanation on how that works. So even if your child goes out of state, I still recommend the plan. I mean, I still recommend college savings because you're still saving for your child to go to college, and that's the end goal, is try to alleviate debt.
So at the most basic level, if we assume my daughter, we live in Oxford, so if we assume she's going to go to Ole Miss, and then she, during her senior year of high school, says, you know what, I want to go to Arkansas instead. So at the most basic level, whatever the tuition for Ole Miss is at the time, transfers to Arkansas and goes toward whatever her tuition would be there?
If you look at the website, and in the most basic forms, it's the tuition at Arkansas plus or minus the tuition at Ole Miss,
right,
and then some other factors, and then that's what you will get at Arkansas. It's not a one-to-one. I mean, it is meant for kids to go to school in Mississippi. It's meant to have people stay in Mississippi. But if you want to go out of state, which I understand totally, if you want to go out of state, then there is ways to make it work for you. I mean, it's not an end-all be-all to stay in Mississippi.
Yeah, certainly want as many of these great kids that are graduating from high schools all across the state to stay in the state.
We definitely do. I mean, our brightest kids are going to state, Ole Miss, Southern, Tougaloo, Alcorn, all these places they're going, and they're bright young men and women that have so much to add to the state.
Sure.
I mean, Ole Miss has one of the best accounting programs in the state, and to keep those accountants here in Mississippi would be amazing.
On the investment side of things, when you talk about your experience in the private sector and that kind of transferring over to this office, are we talking about actively management investments? Are we talking about getting the state into, I may not be using the right phrase here, mutual funds or, ETFs? It's one thing to say, okay, this is my retirement account and this is how I'm going to invest it, or this is how my 401k is functioning. Does the state's money operate largely the same way?
Sort of. What we manage at the state treasury directly is the general fund and all the state's money to make investments, to make interest, to make a return so that the state has more money cushion to add to the surplus that we already have.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about pensions and all that, that's a whole nother question. That's PERS, and they have their own active managers, and they manage that. I don't manage that money.
Okay.
But in terms
of we're talking about the state's money.
The state's actual money. So we can turn investment. And, yeah, it's putting it in the right mutual funds. It's putting it in the right private equity. It's putting it in the right allocation, which is set by the state, which we have been able to get the state to give us more ways to invest our money. And, it's always looking for the thing to invest in that is the proper response to the market today. And when I got here, our investments were okay, but since today, I can say that they are much, much better because we've been able to be active managers in it. We've been able to use our managers more effectively and get out of things quicker because we see trends a little bit faster.
Visiting with David McRae. He is the state treasurer and is running for a second term of office, and he's got cool campaign materials. This is good. The airplane?
Yes. Airplane. That was my wife's thought. She thought of it one night and was like, I think it'd be fun to have something a little different than everybody has, hats or koozies and all that. Let's do airplanes. And also, if you're here listening today, my children will be running around with those. So it'd be kind of like finding a secret person running around who's much smaller than everybody else. So you got to find them, catch them, and they're hard to catch, by the way. But they also have Cracker Jack boxes, which is a big thing, as I was telling you off air, was a big thing McRae's department stores used to do on store openings. We would have Cracker Jack boxes. So we're trying to continue that tradition as I have been here.
David, last thing for you, only less than a minute left. You talk about a second term and growth and positive direction that the state treasurer's office under your leadership has gone in the last 4 years. What is it about just keeping that progress going, or do you have major initiatives that are on the horizon given the opportunity for a second term?
It's continuing that progress, but making it better. I'm never satisfied. I'm never satisfied with what we have today. I'm always satisfied with making it better and really adapting to what the market's going to do with these rising interest rates. They raised a quarter, so we have to adapt to that. I came in during COVID, so if we have another crisis like that,
let's not.
I know.
If it's all the same to you, let's just not.
Trust me, I was only in office 3 months and we had COVID. But it's really just improving upon what we have now, improving unclaimed property, getting more people ready for college savings, and making better deals for our bonds.
David, thanks for your time.
All right, appreciate it very much.
Great to see you. David McRae, State Treasurer. Political speeches have begun on this Thursday, the 27th of July, at the Neshoba County Fair. We will take a time out. We'll wrap it up with you. Coming up next, it's Paul Gallagher.